A puzzle book series has now sold over 4 million copies worldwide. Not a novel, not a memoir, a puzzle book. It was the official Christmas number one in the UK in 2023, beating every other book that year. And right now, Amazon is filling up with books that look a lot like it. Some publishers are calling this the next big low content opportunity. Others are saying that the trend has already peaked because sales of the original book dropped by more than half last year. So, which is it? Is this the next big opportunity or has the trend already peaked? Today, I want to show you what is actually happening in the murder mystery puzzle niche. The story of one of the puzzle makers who went from making puzzles in his spare time to a penguin book deal, and the one thing that separates the books that sell from the books that get returned. Hello, home bosses, and welcome back to my channel. Let's start with the book that opened this whole niche up. Murdle by G.T. Carber came out in June 2023. It's a collection of murder mystery logic puzzles. You get a case, a list of suspects, a grid, and a set of clues, and you work out who did it. The series has now sold over 4 million copies worldwide. In the UK alone, Volume 1 has sold more than 600,000 copies. It was the official Christmas number one in 2023, which for a puzzle book is remarkable. To give you an idea of the size of the category, the UK humour, trivia, and puzzles market was worth around £30 million in 2024. Now, here is the part that a lot of people leave out. Murdle's own UK sales were down more than 50% last year compared to the year before. So, if you only look at that one number, you might think that the trend is finished. But that is not what the wider data says. Circana, a leading American market research company, reported growth across screen-free book categories in the first part of this year. Puzzle books, coloring books, logic and brain teaser books were all up. So the category is still growing. It's just that one specific book is no longer taking such a large share of it. That is a very different picture, and I think it's good news if you are thinking about this niche. Now, let me tell you about the book that made me want to make this video. It's called Murdoku, and it was created by Manuel Garand, a puzzle maker based in Montreal. His puzzles have appeared in the Financial Times. He has two very young sons, and according to his own publisher bio, his wife Cindy was the first person to get hooked on his puzzles, and she is still his most enthusiastic test solver. His idea was simple, and I think that is why it worked. Take the grid logic of a Sudoku puzzle. Put it inside a full-color illustrated crime scene. So instead of only working with numbers, you're looking at a picture of a room, a coffee shop, a casino, an opera house. You use the clues to work out where every suspect was standing, and that tells you who was alone with the victim. So Penguin picked up the UK rights and published it in October 2025. Puzzle Right Press took North America. It reached number 29 in all books on Amazon UK and number 3 in Brain Teaser Games. There are now 3 volumes, and this is the part I find genuinely encouraging. Manuel Garand was not a famous author. He was a puzzle maker with a good idea and 2 small children at home. He combined 2 things people already understood: Sudoku and a murder mystery. He made it visual and full color, and that was enough to get a major publisher interested. That is the pattern I keep coming back to on this channel. You very rarely need an idea nobody has ever seen. What you need is usually 2 familiar things put together in a way that feels fresh. So, of course, publishers noticed. And if you search Amazon for murder mystery logic puzzles right now, you will find a lot of books that were published very recently. Detective case files, crime scene logic grids, large print detective puzzles, volume ones with no volume two yet. Some of these are selling well, and I want to be clear about something because I know what a lot of people say when they see this. This is not a reason to stay away from this niche. Puzzle books are one of the few areas where a small independent publisher can genuinely compete because buyers are not looking for a famous name on the cover. They are looking for a book that gives them a good hour or two of solving. But there is a catch, and it's a real one. Here is what makes puzzle books different from almost every other low content book that you can create. A coloring book can't be wrong, a journal can't be wrong, a word search is fairly hard to get wrong, but a logic puzzle can be wrong. Every clue in a logic grid has to lock together with others. If one clue is slightly off, one of two things happens. Either the puzzle has more than one valid answer, or it has no valid answer at all. And the buyer will find out. And that is the whole point of the book. They sit down with a pencil, they work through it carefully, and if it doesn't resolve, they know immediately. So, this is not a small niche problem, by the way. I found reviews complaining about unsolvable puzzles, even on traditionally published puzzle books, too, from proper publishers with editors. It's just simply a difficult thing to get right. That is also why Manuel Garran's story stood out to me. His publisher bio makes a point of mentioning that his wife tests his puzzles. Someone actually sits down and works through them before they are published. So, if you're thinking about this niche, that is the standard, not a nicer or better cover, not better keywords. Puzzles that actually work. That is what we need in this niche. There is one more thing I want to say, and I think it matters more in this niche than in most. When a book does well, a lot of independent publishers copy it very closely. Not just the idea, the title, the series name, the cover layout, sometimes the artwork style as well. So please be careful with this. Book titles on their own are usually not protected by copyright, but series names can be. They can be registered as a trademark, and a lot of successful series are. Cover artwork and illustrations are protected by copyright, and so are characters. So if you take a well-known series name or something very close to it and put it on your book, you are taking a real risk. The same goes for copying a cover design closely enough that a shopper could confuse the two books. Amazon can remove a listing very quickly if a rights holder complains. In some cases, they can suspend an account. You may not get much warning, and you may not get a chance to argue your case first. This is what happened with the well-known book, The Killer Isn't Alice. I've seen so many books called The Killer Isn't Sally, The Killer Isn't Tom, The Killer Isn't My Boss. And that is just lazy. This is just piggybacking off somebody else's fame, and that's never a good idea. I'm not legally trained, so please do not take this as legal advice, but there are some simple things you can do. Search the trademark databases before you settle on a title or a series name. In the US, that is the USPTO database. In the UK, it is the Intellectual Property Office. Both are free to search. So don't use a well-known series name in your title, your subtitle, or your keywords, not even as a comparison. Do not copy a cover. Take inspiration from what makes it work, which is usually clarity rather than the specific artwork, and then create your own. And honestly, I think this is the better business decision anyway, not just the safer one. If your book only sells because it looks like somebody else's book, you haven't built anything that you can grow. Your own series name is something you can build on for years. So what does this mean for you? I think this niche is genuinely worth looking at, and here is how I would approach it. First, decide what your version looks like. Murdle is text based and fun. Murdoku is visual and full color. Those are two very different books solving the same craving. There's room for more angles. Large print, cozy village settings, historical settings, shorter puzzles for people with 10 minutes to spare. Second, think about who is buying. Puzzle books are heavily bought as gifts and they are bought by people who want time away from a screen. That affects your cover, your size, and your price. Third, and I cannot say this strongly enough, have your puzzles checked, every single one. And I have been looking at a piece of software that is being built specifically for creating this type of Murdoku puzzle book. It's not out yet, but I'm testing it out and I'll let you know what I think. For now, I'm just mentioning it because it's relevant to the problem I have just described. So, to bring this together, the murder mystery puzzle niche is not a fad that has already passed. The category is still growing, even though one particular book has come off its peak. A puzzle maker in Montreal took two familiar ideas, combined them, made them visual, and ended up with a penguin deal and 3 volumes. Amazon is filling up with books in this space and plenty of them are selling. Go and have a look yourself and see the kind of BSRs they have. And the thing that will separate your book, if you're making them, from the rest is not going to be the cover, it will be whether the puzzles actually work. So that is a much better position to be in than in most niches because it's a standard that you can actually meet if you're willing to be careful. If you want help working out your angle in a niche like this and getting your books to a standard that earns good reviews, that is exactly the kind of thing we work through together inside the Homeboss Publishing Academy. Come and find us at school.com/the Homeboss, and I will leave the link below the video too. So, I would love to know what you think. Have you tried a murder mystery puzzle book yourself as a solver or as a publisher? And do you prefer the text based style or the visual grid style? Let me know in the comments. So, have a really lovely week ahead. Take care of your business and take care of yourself. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again in the next video. Bye for now.